Welcome to tonight's episode of the Dungeon Initiative. I hope you're all having a wonderful day today. We got some buffoonery going on behind the scenes. It is nice to see y'all's faces. It's so beautiful. We got another pretty fun session planned out. I think we're picking up maybe just a few hours after where we left off. I have in my notes that LaFay was just studying hieroglyphics. Hugh, you were dealing with petty with the petty lord Bloodscream. I had to just leave it.
I honestly think it's so funny that Bloodscream is so petty that he threw your towel into the water.
Yeah, in the episode synopsis for the last session, I put petty rivalry between a dwarf and a human. It is petty because I reviewed that scene and just his interaction and why he picked you out while you're taking a shower, and then just the random throw of your towel. I'm like, that's so petty. It was close. It was close. But for story elements, I didn't want you to have to get roped into a whole other, set of issues. I'm saving you, bro. It cuts next scene. You're in the jail cell again. All right, guys. Let's see here. Just close that. Main notes. All right. LaFay. So, what do you remember from where we left off? Just your part. Just your part is what I mean too. I'm not asking for like a recap. Yeah, they were assassins. Yep. Okay. So we're gonna pick up from there. You're finishing up, sketching the drawings and the words that you see written on the gazebo, not being able to decipher them. Up to you if you want to try to decipher them again. But Omen is keeping watch, and he's watching the little house to the north. And you don't see the girl, you don't see any cats or anything like that. The boat is kind of like, floating nearby in the river. Omen says, well, aside from a couple of geological notes you just took, I don't assume anything sparked your memory yet. Well, we can head back, get with Jim, and figure things out, unless you feel there's something else we can do here. Well, decidedly out of game. Like, are you? What is your character trying to do right now? Oh, so you headed back to where Jim's at. Okay. Um, Omen steps out of the gazebo and starts headed back in that direction. Um, as you go to step out, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw. Give you a minute here. Everybody start counting seconds. 1, 2. I know I'm teasing.
Yeah, we only tease it.
Hold on. I have this whole thing like. Damn.
Yeah, we only tease it.
I hate you. Where'd you even find
It
that?
was just on the floor.
Nice. Yeah, wisdom save. I'm gonna reach deep in my bag here and pull a maybe special die tonight. It's shit! You're good, you're good. Maria discovered Matt Rife.
Yeah, she has texted me. I'll probably call her or text her later on the way home or something.
Let me see if I can put up her stream and maybe she wants to hang out there and say hi. Fat chance no one watches our stream.
She might.
She might.
Say hi.
You got a 9? So, with a 9, as you go to step out, you feel yourself suddenly stop. Omen in front of you seems to kind of be like shrinking and getting smaller and smaller. And you feel like you're being pulled back, almost sinking. Yeah, like you're sinking backwards into the ground. And when you look down, you realize that the sand that was at the center of the gazebo has suddenly turned into like quicksand, and you're sinking rapidly into the sand. Before you have a chance to react, you can faintly hear Omen's voice echoing back towards you, and you suddenly plummet through. And for a moment, you feel like you're just going to be trapped in the sand, and then you suddenly get spat out the bottom, and you end up landing in this cold, damp series of caverns. You can make a perception check to get your bearings. And hold on a second. You take 5 points of bludgeoning damage as you hit the ground as well. Okay, so with a 26, it is pitch black in this series of tunnels. Do you have any sort of like dark vision or double sight? Okay. Um, so you see that where you're standing, it kind of splits off into three different ways. The way to your left, it is appearing blocked off, but you do see that there's like what looks like rags and maybe like a sleeping roll or something there. A couple of old candles as well. Off to your right, you see that it kind of goes on for a little while, like over 60 feet, and then it turns off to the left. And then the passage ahead of you seems to just go straight on into a void of black. With your perception, you're not seeing anybody. At least you don't see anyone hidden or anything like that. The passage to your left with a dead end, a passage to your right that turns left, and then the passage straight ahead of you that kind of goes on for quite a while. You can't see an end to it at the moment. Okay. So as you kind of begin to go ahead of you, um, you realize that there's kind of like this hollowness in the air. The You don't exactly sense or feel like there's anything there, but you have feelings as if like something's behind you or there's like might be people or something watching you at the moment. Okay. So yeah, for a while you realize that you're just kind of walking and moving your full speed. I would say like 30 feet, 60 feet, and then so on and so forth. The tunnel just keeps going on for a while, and you kind of start to feel this sense of like disorientation. Go ahead and make a Constitution save. Okay. So you manage to kind of keep yourself together, and then you start to see what looks like a rectangular shape in the distance ahead of you. As you get closer and closer to it, you start to realize that it's a door. So it is a red door with a framing surrounding it. There's even a couple of bricks lined up as if they were kind of designing this to be an entryway on purpose. You see that the same hieroglyphics from the gazebo are sprawled across the top. The only difference here is instead of being written like carved into the stone, instead this is painted on with very old blood. The door itself is also a blood red color. The years of being down under the ground haven't taken its toll. You can see it's weathered in some places, and there's even scratch marks against it, as if someone had tried stabbing or prodding into where the door handle is. Just under the door handle, you see that there is a brass lock piece. What do you do? You cut out. Hmm. Um, you can make an insight check. You don't like get a sense that there's anything nefarious on the other side of this door, or you don't necessarily have a feeling of anything sinister. You know, if you feel unease, it might just simply be your character's, nerves in this moment. But besides the door, there's nothing else here, and the hieroglyphics. All right, go ahead. You should have a skill for lockpicking, or what's it called? Sleight of hand. Did you find it? It's again under your skills. There you go. Yep. No, you're good. Um, so with a 15, you can feel that like while you're working your pick, it feels like this lock might be rusted in some places. It's definitely older, but you find that click and you make it open, and the door like handle, just you twist it and you pull the door. There's a bunch of dust that kind of like falls off of the door immediately. There is this kind of gust that kind of blows at you as you start to step in, and what you see is a maybe like 50 by 60-foot room, and lined against the walls you see a bunch of bunk beds, old bunk beds. There's gear along the walls that looks like old leather armors and daggers, and even some swords and blades and such laid out on the tables at the center of the room. You can see that there was definitely someone eating at some point, like a meal here, as it's been left to rot, and it's just sitting at the table, just kind of dusted and covered in cobwebs. This place doesn't seem like it's seen people in quite a while. To the opposite of the door you came in, you do see that there is another door. This one kind of like chipped and broken in some places, but also sporting the same design lock as the door before. I would say that you see about 6 beds in this room. There is a marking to the left of the breastplate, right? Again, it's another symbol that you don't recognize. This one's carved into the actual leather. You can also you can make an investigation check if you want to like explore the whole room. What is it? Oh no. Um, you know, you know when your mom tells you to check the bathroom for your hairbrush, and we admit we all go in there and we do one of these. I can't find it. It's it's also the connection in Dad's area. It's really bad for internet. Like at least on your phone, he needs actual internet. um, but yeah, you do the stare around thing, and you don't really like find anything interesting unless you want to spend more time here. Yeah, like at face value, what you see is just a bunch of like scraps and stuff. It's not anything special. It's like basic type of leathers and armor. The daggers aren't anything, and the swords aren't anything special. Like they're just basic weaponry and stuff like that. But with a five, you're not really like digging around the way you should. Um, yeah. What do you do next? Yeah, there was a door across the way. Again, it's a 50 by 60 foot room, and you do see like that there is another door to go up to. When you get to the door, it is locked, but if you can make a perception check, you can peer through like the hole that's kind of like been busted into the top right corner of the door. Iffy, like you like check. You want to check. You want to check for traps. I mean that's why I had her do an inside at the other door. I'm like I want her to feel somewhat comfortable here.
Every time she's not staring at the door, she's doing a closer to it.
Yeah, I mean like the make another investigation. The doors are in the doors. You do not find anything suspicious about this door.
Hold the doors. Hold the doors. Hold the doors. Hold the doors.
As the door before, it is locked though. So yeah. With a 17, you don't manage to unlock this door. It kind of clicks around, and you end up breaking your pick. So, as you're working on the door here, we're gonna kind of cut away, right? And Zoe.
You said 1 second.
No.
It's been over a second.
It's been over a second. Um,
Liar.
it's not, okay. Let's extend the scene then. LaFay, go ahead and make your slate of hand check. See if you can get through that door. Might as well. I like the new D&D Beyond logo. It's like all gold
Yeah.
instead of the red. It looks really cool. Yeah, it looks really slick. Very clean design. Thank you. I feel like shit. It happens, man. Like every time you come on camera, it's always the same. It's disappointing. What did you think of the last season of Game of Thrones? Disappointing. I remember how all that led up to that. Like that was crazy. LeFay, where you at? Did you roll? What'd you get? LeFay? So with the 27, you managed to pick. Go ahead and make a perception check as you go through the door. Okay. So with a 14, you make it through the room, and you see that there, like the room is like shaped kind of like an octagon, right? There's these large pillars similar to like the design of the gazebo above the white marble, kind of going around and supporting this circular room with a bunch of like seating. If you ever seen like those like the like when Romans would sit in those council chambers and they would all be like in the room. What do you know what that's called?
The Senate chambers?
Like it's a Senate chamber, but like I know there's a specific name for that. But it's this large circular room, right? Um, at the center, uh, yeah, like it's just a court, right? Essentially, it looks just like that. There's no lighting or anything like that. There, you can see that along the floor, especially near the pillars, there was a bunch of candles there, kind of hung up on the pillars themselves as well. But they've long since gone out, and they're just kind of sitting there. Um, and then you got a 15, right, with your perception. 14. Okay. With the 14, you do notice that kind of along where people would normally sit, there is a bunch of old corpses, all dressed in the same leathers as the one that you saw in the previous room. Um, there is definitely dried blood pooling underneath, having pooled underneath them, now dried to the cement that they once sat on. There are large pieces of rock that fell from the ceiling and may have crushed sections of people sitting there. Um, at the center of where this, at the center of this room, again, this circular spot, very similar to where the gazebo was, except instead of sand, it is just straight concrete there and a table slab. There's a bunch of skulls laid out upon it with also a bunch of old candles, and you see that there is some sort of dagger sitting at its center. What do you do? A comitium. I don't know if this is like the right word for this, but I'm gonna put that down as a note.
Then the building is called Curia Julia.
All right, so you do move into the room. Okay. As you step into the room, you move in towards the center. This is about a 40-foot stretch to get to the center of the room. Um, as you reach it, you feel like this kind of gust blow against the back of your neck. When you turn around, you see a hooded figure. Their armor all blacked out. Um, they almost blend into the room. You can see that their eyes are staring right back at you. They seem to have this um, orange glow to them. And they're staring directly at you, their weapon at their side, um, also holding a, a blade similar to yours. but they just stare at you. What do you do? Like, they're 10 feet away. Will you say something else, or you're just staring at them? I thought it would be obvious, considering all the bodies in the other room, in this very room. But I suppose I am your better half. What was what was your question? Yes, it sounds just like your voice.
How could you not recognize the best rogue
Shut up. No, don't let him influence it. No, don't worry about it. Stay focused. You're the one that came to see me. And now that you're here, I suppose we can get things done now. After all, she pulls the mask down and reveals her face. Again, it is you. The difference that you see is that her skin looks sickly, and she has these veins kind of going up the side of her face. How else am I to become the world's greatest rogue? And now we'll cut over to Zoe. She's supposed to. Zoe, you ready? Alright. We cut to a wide, maybe 15-foot tunnel. You and the rest of your party are currently running for your lives. The wizard is casting, or what you thought was a wizard, is a warlock, casting Eldritch blasts behind them as they make their way down this tunnel. As you guys are doing this, I need you to make a dexterity saving throw. And do it with advantage. So, you're looking back at the warlock, right? And as you turn around, you see that there's these cracks in the wall and on the floor. And suddenly these blades come up. You leap forward, dodge them, and barrel roll to the other side. The warlock turns around and Eldritch blasts one of the saws in half. Down the passage, you can hear the leader of the group, which now you know to be Emmanuel. He's calling down the hall, "Hurry, run! Run! Fucking run!" And you hear this loud echo of a monster down the passage behind you guys. The group manages to push in through the doorway, the leader and the other fighter pushing down the hatch and locking the door behind them. All of them kind of backing away from the door. They take a minute, and they can hear something banging against the door, trying to get its way in. Some silence follows, and it dissipates, and you guys find yourselves in a small room, I'd say about 30 by 30 feet. This room in particular seems to have been abandoned, maybe have been like a campsite for some people, but you realize that it might have been for many, as the scraps and things that you find seem to kind of be dated even further back than the clothing and armor that you currently see on your companions. The leader, Emmanuel, takes position by the door, kind of leaning against the wall. If I knew that we were going to see werewolves in here, I would have brought my gun. The brother, who you know to be as Rivas, moves over to the opposite side of the room where there's another door, and he starts to kind of like look at it, investigate it, pulls it open, checks the other side, and then bars it right after. And he says, "We might have a moment to rest here." And he comes right over to you, and he says, "Are you all right?" "Terrifying ordeal. You were almost cut in half back there." At the center of the room, the cleric of the group, very heavily armored cleric, raises his sigil and casts a spell, and you feel this like light come from him and protect the room itself. And he says, "That should buy us a couple hours. Hopefully we're not here too long. Based on what I saw, that might not be the only one in these caverns." You know his name to be Marcus. He goes and he like finds like an old cot, and he like dusts it off, and then shoves the skeleton off of it, and then just props himself up onto the bed. Immediately, it just caves under his weight. The rogue, who you know to be Whisk, stays near the doorway with Emmanuel, seemingly annoyed, seemingly stressed, as they have taken quite a bit of damage during the ordeals. And then the most curious one has been the warlock himself, who you've come to know his name is Phonebook. His name is Phonebook. Phonebook. But he finds a closet space, and he decides to go in there, and he shuts the door and just stays inside. So you got multiple people to go talk to, or explore around. What do you want to do?
It's the telltale moment.
No, it's the characters going, "It's time for a small rest or a short rest."
Yeah, but it's kind of like the Telltale games.
The Telltale games where you have all those people. Yeah. This is Zoe right now. "Hey, how's it going?" "Fuck off." "Hey, how's it going?" Whisk, and Emmanuel. So Emmanuel's and it seems to be in discussion with Whisk. Again, Whisk, having taken a lot of damage during this whole ordeal, seems frustrated in conversation with their leader, who seems to be trying to talk them up. The cleric again had taken a place to lay his head, and the whole mattress fell through the frame of the bed itself, and he's just kind of laying there trying to get some rest himself. And like I said, phone book is off in a closet right now. Shut up! God damn it! Make a perception check as you approach the door. You start to what was it? Okay, so with the 17, at first you don't smell anything until you get close to the door, and then you get this like very herbal smell coming from the door. But also you seem to hear like little whispers, kind of like talking and saying obscenities like "fuck, stupid, fuck, I gotta get the fuck out of here, stupid idiot." He's just kind of like muttering something from the other side of the door. What do you do? Um, so as you go to knock, Revis like kind of walks up to you and just says, "Probably best that you leave him to it." When he's like this, it's not comfortable for anybody. Whenever he starts to be in stressful situations, he kind of starts to act out, just like a nervous tick, I would say. He'll start insulting people, and then Whisk over in the corner, assaulting people. Assaulting people sometimes, yeah. We got that under control. Barely. He attacked me in the middle of the fight back there. He just needs his fix, and he'll be fine. He'll be ready. He has to be. And when he says he has to be, he looks right at the door, like, there's concern, and there's definitely like a sense of, like you better. Besides, his private time is important as much as anybody else. Like I said, uncomfortable for all of us. And as he starts to kind of walk away, you can hear phone book on the other side. The cleric on the bed, he's just like, Paylor would be disappointed in all of us for supporting his behavior. What was the question? He like kind of like leans forward looking at you, and he's just like, well, for one, the obscene language. I get that he has a condition, but we really need to find a way to get it under control. It's hurtful at times. And then there's the other thing. Emmanuel's just like, his fix is he likes to smoke a lot. And then at the same time, you see Whisk and Revis. They go, and let's not forget, and they kind of do a motion with their hand. Emmanuel just puts his head back. As long as he's ready for the next fight and he's not trying to take any of our heads again, Because then I will throw him to the monsters myself. Vecna can have him for all I care. Yeah, the group is mostly like kind of bantering amongst themselves. Um, you guys had some time near the beginning of the dungeon to kind of like jostle and discuss, but they mainly like spoke about how Vecna's presence has created unease in their home, and his rising has kind of influenced believers to kind of start these rituals and sacrifices in his name, and ultimately it led to them being here, and some of them, like Whisk, feel like they might be in over their heads. But continuing their conversation, Emmanuel and Reeve and Whisk, it's up to you if you want to like peer into the conversation, join the conversation. But you do catch them kind of, you know, trying to influence leaving rather than staying and continuing. No, it's all good. I don't want to like force myself to like role play for the sake of, you know, dead air. Hopefully enough intrigue there to goes back to phone book.
It just repeats that whole cutscene again.
You know what's funny is like when I listen to the recordings, they can still hear you when you're talking from over there. So yeah, we get a little bit of an echo, but it's always funny because sometimes you can catch the funny side remarks that you make. So essentially, your equipment is what you normally have. Um, the only difference is the outfit itself. It is kind of like this. I wouldn't say leather.
Leather?
No, I guess it is like a form of leather, but it's not like tight on you or anything like that. There's like these like pauldrons that kind of hang off the side. It's got this yellow design going off the top, going down the center, and then on the sides it's red going down the legs. It's essentially like a onesie, and then it has a belt along the waist for all of your other material needs like potions and other things like that. Um, you do notice that on your right hand there is a like sigil there, almost like a branding. So the branding itself looks crude and almost like they themselves did it to their own hand. Um, but the sigil almost looks like a phoenix rising. If you want, go ahead and make a perception check here. All right, so with an 18, you notice that everyone who's kind of like laid back, maybe dropped some of their armor. Um, Emmanuel has one like right on his forearm, like right around here, and then Whisk has one on the opposite side. like on their forearm right here. Um, you can't see if Marcus has one, and obviously phone book's still in the closet right now. But it sparks a memory of when it had happened. And in that memory, it's just kind of you like looking at the rest of the group, and they're all just laughing and having a good time around a fire. And you just brand this thing onto your hand, and you're just like holding it, and all of them are like, "Oh!" like cheering you on, and they're just like, "All right, show it, show it, show it, cool it off." Shh. And when they like hold it up, all of them are like showing off their brands. Like Marcus is revealed to have one on his arm along with Revis, and Phonebook is kind of off to the corner, just like looking at all of you guys, like not really a part of it. But all of you kind of in the middle are just all excited, and your character or your the person, you feel confusion as to like why they chose this. And the group said that we needed something to represent us, and that will always be there for you no matter what happens or what you choose to do. This sparking the memory that the god of fire had come to you, or the god of fire had come to you, and shown you visions and things to come and things that terrified you. But the group had said that no matter what happens, whether they fall in battle, there's always a second chance. And that they represent second chances. And they kind of like converge and hug you, and you realize that they did it for you. Or this person that you're currently encapsulating, yes. The memory kind of like rushes through your mind, and you realize that the connection between this group is much deeper. Very similar to the brand that the initiative themselves have, which is a phoenix. Um, Whisk looks up at you, and you see that the brand on their arm, they're looking down at it, and they say, "Aren't you scared? The god of fire, the vision you had of us, what could happen to us? Aren't you afraid?" I know I haven't really been that great to you guys. The things I've done and the time I betrayed all of you. But since then, you guys have still come back, given me reason to stay and change. And I just don't want to deprive anyone in this world from good people like you. Gods know there's not a lot left. The group kind of looks solemn at this. They even the leader Emmanuel is kind of like fighting back emotion as he kind of looks away. What do you do? Yeah, second has passed. Every time you guys say that, Moses is over here ready to just hit you with that. A second has passed. Actually, the book says that you can't actually do a perception check here. Look at our flag, guys. Isn't that fire? Hmm? Yeah. I'm just saying that I'm lucky to have found you guys. Otherwise, I'd probably be killing people for change and dead in the gutter, probably. At least that's where most people like me end up. And we've proven time and time before, says Emmanuel, putting his hand on With's shoulder, that even in the worst circumstances, we've always come out on top. Right? Marcus, Palor be praised. And then Revis is kind of like holding up his water, like kind of cheers. You hear a squeak. And you see that the warlock comes out. The book kind of like clutched to their chest, their hat disleveled to the side. He's just kind of looking at all you guys with this crazy look. Phone book! And Revis stands up. I think that means he's ready. And then, like, phone book's just like, sorry. I feel better now. Are we going now? What happened? What happened? Can you go check that? There's a cockroach. You okay? It's alright. Looks like Moses got it. Come here. I know. Yeah, but it crawled on her. Yeah, I know, Mama. You're gross. They're gross. I know. You're okay. You're okay. Here, go lay on my bed. Go lay on my bed. Do you want water? Yes. I think we've all experienced it at least once in our life, or will experience it once. You get it? No? It'll come up again. All right. All right. Phone book came out. He's ready to go. Bipolar too. I'm fine. um, but yeah. Essentially, we'll go from there. Um, do what you will with that scene. We're gonna cut over to a lush forest. Edward, you are currently walking with Sidar. You had maybe asked Goblin or Brian and Ona to go home, or did you just tell them to wait there?
I probably sent them home with the wolves, just so that way they can kind of do like a full checkup on Crag. Also because Queenie can only carry up to 3 people, so that would be me, Sidar, and if she wants to bring the Archimedonia also, right?
Yeah. So I would say you guys maybe just flew there, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Queenie lands. You guys dismount, and it's in front of not the exact Yonti cave that you had seen, but the structuring looks like like the top of it. It looks like that opening where they had like crawled into from the last cave you'd seen.
Okay.
Um, she kind of like surveys the area, looking around, goes over to like the edge and looks into the hole. Damn. Not here.
What do you mean? We just looked.
We'll have to go in, I suppose.
Kind of like inspecting like around the area. Do I see any signs that there could have been a pre-shot when they're here?
Very obvious signs is that there was something here. Um, Based on the way it's kind of like the grass and everything, it looks like something stomped around and maybe like laid on it as it's flattened in a certain section. She's like kind of goes over to it, drops her bag, she's looking at it. He always loved rolling around in the grass. Pulls out some rope, a pitton.
How big's the hole?
The opening,
Yeah.
I'd say it's about 10 feet wide.
Alright, Queenie. You just stick around out here. If we're not back by nighttime, fly back home.
You hear a ping, 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 and when you turn around, you see that Sidar is like just flexing her muscles, smashing this pitton in, and then she starts tying the rope around, flips her hair, and looks at you. Are you just gonna stand there? Let's go.
How far deep can I see down the hole?
You can see all the way to the bottom. It's about 60 feet.
Okay. Where's the Archimedonian?
The Archimedonian is by Queenie with their hands restrained, and they're like looking around like they have ideas.
Should we be worried about that one?
That one? She goes over, grabs them by the scruff of the neck, and starts pushing them in the direction of the hole. Starts speaking to them in their language. There's like a bit of an argument between them, and then they reluctantly start to climb down the rope. Hurry up! Tugs on the rope.
Okay, let me just climb down before you kill them.
I wasn't intending to kill them, just to frighten them.
Yeah, maybe that's the reason why they don't want to be around you then? Start climbing down.
I'm wonderful to be around. And then she starts to climb down too. As you guys are climbing down, make a perception check. Hmm.
Perception, you said?
Hmm.
14.
So with the 14, as you guys are descending, you notice that the Archimedonian, like moving their way down, like they're struggling because their hand is still bound. So like they're doing like short little, but they manage to make it to the bottom. And once they reach the bottom, they're looking around, terrified as you realize that there's like openings that kind of lead off in different directions here. And the floor itself looks like there's like carcasses and old bones and stuff like that. But the most curious thing are the tents that are sitting nearby.
How big is this space?
The drop is like 60 feet, and the room itself is maybe around 50 feet wide.
How many tents?
You see about half a dozen, maybe like 6 to 7.
And then you said there's carcasses?
There's like carcasses, like animal carcasses, like deer and other things,
How fresh?
like game. There's one that looks like they butchered it like halfway and then just left it there, and from what you can tell, it might be a couple days old.
Um, and with, I imagine it's dark in this area also. With my double sight, how far can I see? Oh no, you said it's
Yeah, I mean it's like
6 days old. Like, never
still
mind.
like that morning range right now.
Yeah.
With the hole in the ceiling, it's projecting enough light into the room where it's it's pretty well
Okay.
lit. Looking around, you don't see anything immediate or dangerous, but you do notice that off to a very large cavern, I mean stretching around 40 feet wide, it kind of goes off to the left, and you see that there is like claw marks along the walls.
How big is this Night Fury that we're looking for?
He's rather large, I'd say maybe 30 feet.
Roughly. Okay.
He's very friendly. It's like the dogs, as you guys call them. We call them mongrels.
That's another name we use here too.
He could be anywhere here.
I'm gonna start kind of checking the tents real quick.
As you kind of go over to the tents, you notice that there's a
Mostly checking to see if like there's signs of people having stayed here recently or if they've moved on a long time ago.
definitely recently might have stayed here. The logs and stuff that you see in front of the tents look like they were burned, like maybe a couple days ago. Um, the tents themselves, you realize that they're orc tents.
Work.
Hmm. The leathers and the heavy furs that make up their tents, and then the remnants and pieces of armor and other materials that might have been left behind, especially sigils of Grummash.
Okay.
The most peculiar thing are the white painted hands that are on the tents themselves.
Saruman. Okay.
No, no, if it,
Um, would I recognize that exactly or wait no, I do actually. From
you know who
wow,
Gr-
why not?
you,
Right?
yeah, and you know who Grummash is, and you know that there is a faction of orcs that were called.
It was at the Battle of Dorian a year ago.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this faction in particular, you know to be very heavily involved with the belief and following of Grummash, and typically you find them to be very aggressive people.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think I beheaded their chieftain also. Or rather chewed his head off, but yeah. Okay, this is gonna be exciting. Um, which is there any signs of which cave would be the one that Night Fury would have gone through? Like I catch a
The most obvious one is the one to the left.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
Yeah.
Just
Um,
making sure if like it wasn't just that obvious one.
the prisoner that you guys have is like kind of like inching away from you guys, and you notice that Sidar is like kind of headed towards that cavern, and she has like this big smile on her face. Oh yes, she's close. And she pulls the blade out, and you notice that it's gone from like all those vivid colors to now solidifying to a pitch black. Let's go. Turns around. Where'd they go?
Huh?
And when you turn, you look, you see that the prisoner is like gone off the opposite end.
Away from the rope?
Yeah, they're running away.
Trust me, there's not really much place they can go to.
Are you gonna catch them or should I?
I'm here to help you find your damn dragon thing, okay? Just let them go off. Let's go find
Takes a
your
dagger,
necessary.
chucks it.
I'm going to
And
Eldritch
it
blast the dagger.
no. So like, she chucks it, and she's so emotional with this that instead it just goes straight down, and they just. Ah!
I'll pick up the dagger.
I was hoping to surprise. I was hoping to surprise my friend with a good meal.
Trust me, there might be plenty.
What do you mean?
You ever dealt with orcs?
Ah, orcs, an ancient enemy. In the olden times, they used to raid us with their ships.
I'm already
We
fucking
set them.
on that call.
And she's like following next to you. When they raided with their puny wooden ships, we set them ablaze in the ocean, watched them all burn and die and suffer as they were separated. And then Toothraw picked them off.
Toothbrush?
Yes, my Night Fury. It's Toothraw. Look at Fed's. Look at Fed's face.
I imagine like there's just like a whole bunch of excitement on this woman's face and everything.
Oh yeah, she's like excited to tell you about the full history of her home, dude. And see if I'm able to find another one worthy, also able to fly a Night Fury as I can. They shall become my lover, and by doing so we will strengthen the Archimedonian people with an heir. But I assume you do not wish us to conquer your home.
I mean, we're conquered a few hundred years ago by one group of people. We'd rather not have that again. And I'm still kind of looking forward, trying to see if like again, like with the Dells, I can see 120 feet in the dark. Am I seeing anything?
You see that there is what looks like a pair of boots. Like somebody was running and they just flew off.
Okay. Like towards our direction or away?
Oh, like they were running.
Okay.
Sidar, like mid, boasting, she sees the boots, runs over. Definitely orc. I wonder how recent they were here.
Judging from the tents, the carcasses within the last 3 days. Um, I'm gonna kind of grab one of the boots and sniff to see if I can tell anything. Like, see if how long it's been there. Like, if it's might have, if anything might have faded away, like over a couple
Yeah, I
days
get
or
you.
something.
You can definitely tell, just like the campsite that you found, it might have been like a day or two. Um, you do if you go ahead and make a perception or an investigation check, actually.
Investigation. 12.
Yeah, with the 12, you see the boots, and you do see that there's like little drips of blood kind of heading off in that direction. Um, but no other signs of like orc materials or anything left behind. Sidar just kind of uninterested, like pushes on, and confidently says, "We're definitely close."
Yeah, definitely be on your guard then. And I'll kind of bring out the shield and take out the sword, knighting it.
So she takes her sword out as well, and as you guys like unsheath your weapons and kind of like push ahead, you hear like a rumble through the caverns, and she just smiles.
Judging from your smile, I'm guessing that's your friend.
He's definitely close. And they start to kind of like jog ahead a little bit faster.
I'll follow.
So as you guys reach what seems like the end of this tunnel, you see that it opens out into like the edge of a cliff, like overlooking the edge of a cliff, out over the trees and horizons. You can even kind of make out the capital at a distance here. And she like steps out. She's looking around. She peers over at the capital. Is that your kingdom? The capital, as your sister called it.
Yeah.
It's so puny.
Well, we're far away from it, so of course it's gonna look like that.
I don't know. My castle is much grander. A lot of love and time went into it.
Looking around to see if it's anywhere close.
So,
I imagine like as she's talking, Elder's just walking around, still trying to find where this.
you do catch a scent, and you can kind of hear like a.
I'll kind of try to see if I can follow where that sound's coming from.
Make a perception check.
That's a weird roll it just did. 16.
So with a 16, you're looking around, tracking the voice and the scent, and the heavy scent like orc is definitely like reaching you, and you peer over the side and you see that there's a young orc like on a small piece of rock, just kind of leaned against the wall, like holding themselves up.
Okay. Alright.
Ugh.
Oh. Relax, relax. We'll get you up.
No, you're not safe either.
It's probably better than standing on a ledge, hundreds of feet high.
It's close. I know it. I know it's close.
You know where it's at? As I'm trying to pull out a rope, just
Up there somewhere. I know it is.
well, let's focus getting you up first, and then we'll worry about that.
You notice that Sidar is just like ignoring
Stop,
this,
down.
and they just go around, and like the path kind of leads up, and there's like kind of a drop as well that kind of leads down the side of this cliff. But she decides to kind of ascend and dip off and out of sight.
Sidar.
The orc. Thank you. I never thought I would thank a human to this day. But I will go, and I will make children with beautiful women of your kin.
Okay.
Takes your arm and like aggressively pulls you in. Girl must be saved.
Yeah. Girl must be saved. Yeah.
You notice that there is like this kind of like rippling going on over the skies, and he's like, "What is that?" And
Gonna kind of like pull him further into the cave for a moment, just like.
you start to kind of like smell smoke in the air, and he's like kind of like rubbing his eyes and moving up the hill. Your companion, she has to get to lower ground. We're back in the cave. friendly with with the monster.
It's her pet. And kind of like try to go towards the direction where she's at, just cautiously.
Yeah, like as you make your way up, she's standing there like on top of this cave, looking around at the sky, and she's like, "I do not see them. Instead, just this odd mist in the air, a natural mystic." And
Do
this
I
wind
notice anything weird
kind
about
of
it?
blows, and you realize that the smell is like super familiar.
What is it?
You hear a voice behind you say, "Hey there, Edward."
Johnny?
He like walks up next to you. This halfling with his hair kind of done and combed off to the side. He's dressed in his druid leathers, but there's like kind of like flowers and stuff kind of growing off of his shoulders, and his staff is like strapped to his back, and he's like looking up at you. You want some?
Yeah.
I figured everybody can use some.
That's the thing I'm having right now, yeah.
What's going on? And you notice that the orc and Sidar, they haven't noticed Johnny. In fact, Sidar like turns and looks at the orc, and immediately points her blade at them.
Oh,
Oh shit!
just hold off on that, okay? Just, I think your pet's eating enough of his companions.
You call orcs friends in your country?
Some.
And
Although this one, not sure yet.
I'm definitely a friend. Please, we have to get to cover before. And you hear like a.
Try to look at the pipe for a second. There's no way it hit me that fast.
And like Johnny like pushes your arm up. You might want to hit that again, bro.
Fuck me.
I did choose a bad time to come see you, didn't I, Edward?
Yeah. That kind of turning like the direction I heard that sound.
Yeah, when you turn in that direction, you notice that like the mist that's in the air, the smoky mist that's kind of covering this forest now. You notice that the lighting from the sun makes the trees glow a lot brighter, and you have like this kind of like odd view, slight distortion, and you suddenly feel this uplift in your body. And even Sidar lowers the sword. I'm too tired to be bothered with you right now. I have to get my friend. And the orc is just like, why even fight when we can have peace?
The fuck is happening?
Now you see Johnny. Like I said, bad time to see you. Bad day to make a new holiday, I guess. And we go from there to Fenrir tossing a large cave carver onto a pile of other dead cave carvers. Sam is like grabbing his back. This should be the last one. Oh God! Next time I say I can do it myself, don't let me do it. And Edgar's just like, I did say that. You notice Coulsandus is like, had, like taken off most of his jackets and leathers and rested his sword after going back to his human form, and he takes a seat off in a corner, looks up at you. Are you as you excited as I am? I still have adrenaline running through me. Um, have yourself a water. What'd you say? Way more than 9 indeed. We were fighting for... Looks around. Well, it felt like an hour or two. The men, the women, they all look exhausted. And you looking around, you for sure see everybody's like lounged around. They're not even bothering working. They've had like some people come around and clean up the debris from the field. But yeah, there's still some more work to be done. As now it's like gut ridden and blood slicked all over the field. Um, but Cole Sanders is just like, yeah, have yourself a water. To be honest, I'd much more prefer wine right now. And as the night knockers like walk past, they're like, "That sounds amazing!" And like they all like kind of disperse along with Sam and Edgar. Um, let's see. Leroy also joins you guys, kind of sitting, on the opposite side of Quilsandus, kind of taking in the battlefield. Still a lot of work to be done, but I assume that hopefully that was the end of these creatures, or at least for a good time. We have to go ahead and fix things the way it needs to be. You have ideas for the walls? Could be something we can invest in. We definitely have the money to support something like that. It's just getting people to actually work on it. We have to hire quite a number of people, probably from the capital as well. But it wouldn't be a bad idea considering we have monstrosities such as this one, dragons to akin me and yourself, and God knows what else might be in the mountains over there. And there is still that, and he points over at the large metallic man that's still off in the distance. Yeah, Sam and the Night Knockers have dispersed and like gone off to lounge and maybe like drink early in the day. I think Jesse left with you, right?
Yeah, Jesse's already gone.
Yeah. But Quilsandus like stands up, pulls the hair from his face, and he says, "Well, while we have some time, shall we go talk about your lordship?" So he walks with you. Leroy like stands and he's like, "Is it all right if I tag along?" Well, Gilsandus just shrugs and says, "Sure, of course." It's not like you haven't seen the place before. At least, it was in better conditions at the time, I suppose. But he leads you guys to the town. You can see people are kind of trying to get back to their their regular day. Platoon of soldiers marches by towards the open side of the wall in order to keep guard, while Quasanus and yourself go back toward Lord North's home, which is currently kind of being worked on by a couple of kegbots assigned there by Omen himself. A good part of the home has already been put back together, and Quasanus comments maybe a couple of furnishings to make things comfortable for yourself and the rest of your group as they decide to stay here. There's plenty of rooms, so initially all of you can live together. But I also have ideas to build other homes in other places, and perhaps you'd want to occupy the south end and perhaps even the actual western home. Technically, my old home, hence the name, but I like the East Coast, looking at the waters. Good trophy for a good fight. I was thinking the same thing. Then again, I personally might find it a little offensive. It is a dragon after all. He leads you into the home with the foyer there. You notice that the chandelier that had hung off the ceiling had like been knocked off and like collapsed. So you see a couple of, like the housemaids and such kind of cleaning up, and they notice as you come in, and they like wave at you guys as you pass. And he says, "On record, you would just be a lord here, just another occupant of the home. But to me, and those who know you best, such as Leroy, this will be home to the initiative, whenever you all need it." Of, of course, like I said, there's some that we have to entrust into a circle of secrecy, I'd say. But they're loyal enough and were thankful enough for my return in order to heed my command and respect my will here. We're simple. Or Den of the Beast King. Like, as he kind of takes you through the home, he's showing you around the layout. I'll probably have a drawn version soon, but he eventually leads you over to like that one dining room that you had met with Lord North and Lord East, and you see that like that hole in the wall is still there. You can see that there's still like blood where the table used to be, and Leroy kind of like shivers a little bit. From here, like you're looking out and you can kind of see like half of the wall, a couple of buildings like standing in front of it, like residentials essentially, and then there's that surrounding fence as well to the home itself or the mansion itself. Um, you can kind of make out the ocean like on the other side, but it's like not a very good view from here. You got like two floors to work with, and it doesn't completely clear the wall. There's two. And there's a vault as well. We actually discovered that there's not too much in there. They like to keep everything in the main hoard. So a good portion of that I might go ahead and disperse into this vault here. At least what I owe you. The bank is willing to keep a good sum of it as well, and I would say do that just for record purposes. I could always consider it. Just in the case that someone comes and decides to report the initiative being here, and if you guys do have activities, they won't seize the house along with all of your fortune. Speaking of which, where is the rest of your group? Hmm. Zoe is your wife, correct?
Oh no, we're just friends.
I apologize if I overstepped. I did not mean to offend. To marry you? Well, you definitely have the money to buy her a good rock. And then I assume, she might enjoy some of Lord North's tastes. His wardrobe is definitely diverse. Well, you might find something yourself. I had to scrounge through it too, I'm not gonna lie. He borrowed something from me that he never returned. Most definitely. Yeah, Leroy's like standing on a specific puddle, or at least like a dry spot, and he's just kind of like taking it in. I assume this is where it happened. Unless I really got a good shot in, which I don't remember. Let's just hope it's just his blood. Do me a favor, don't tell me if it is. But I did notice, aside from the maids and the servants, you don't seem to have any guards here. Well, don't think I have to ask, but if you need a leader, I can definitely guard those doors for you. And I hear you can pay people now, so and like he just like walks out of the room. Cool Sand just like kind of waves you over. Come on, I want to show you your room. Yeah, like down the hall from where that dining area is, there's these double doors that he pushes open, and you see this very regal, lots of gold and ornaments and decorations on the wall, pretentious paintings of Lord North himself. Especially like there's one in particular above the bed where it's just him without a shirt flexing.
Nice.
But he walks in, sees it, and he goes, "I'll have that removed. I'll have most of this removed,
If it were Hugh, he would go, no, leave.
preferably." I don't have too much here going forward, Fen. I'll be honest. It's kind of, but just kind of getting you settled in there, and we're gonna go from there over to Hugh. Hugh, you still with us? Are you Hugh with us?
Or Hugh.
Are you Hugh with us? Are Hugh here? Are Hugh here with us? um, so you've been shown around the the soldiers' bunkers at this point, right? Being led around by Ronald Hughes, the guard from before. He takes you to one of the spiral staircases on the outer walls of the castle. And as you guys are ascending up the stairs, a couple of soldiers like go down. They regard Ronald as they pass, and he continues to speak to you. And he says, "The second level is strictly reserved for soldiers and commanders. If you're not cleared to be up here, please don't be up here. Needless to say, you're already on thin ice with some people, and the last thing I need on my hands is a dead new recruit." As you reach the top, you notice that there's a couple of guys like kind of looking out the windows here. You see that they have a bunch of rifles and other weaponry set up next to them. They look over at you guys as you pass. They wave you off, and when you turn, there's an entire like roof of the castle that's just a bunch of soldiers like standing, either at guard or they're positioned around a like what looks like a central building, like another section, like a second floor building to the castle. And you notice that there's a bunch of people inside of there, kind of moving around, and there's a bunch of like artillery type weapons along the top of the castle. Not just cannons, but it looks like some sort of like harpoons and stuff like that on the top of the spires. As he marches you through, I need you to make a perception check. All right. So with the 9, you just see what I explained to you at face value, essentially, right? Um, he takes you over to a like a small like tent setup next to that secondary building, and inside you notice that there's like a lot of high-ranking type of officials. A lot of them have like the sporting badges and such like that to represent their rankings, and they notice you as you're brought up. Some of them roll their eyes and turn their attention to other recruits and soldiers. There's a lot of order barking going around, and like people kind of being assigned to walk through as you realize that half of that building is like a dining hall, and soldiers are led up from the tables out, and then another group marches in, takes positions, and sits. And um, Ronald, he directs your attention, and he points out the table, and he's like, "I understand that you wish to just keep your regular armor." He reaches in and he takes out a sigil of the House of Stormbane, and he hands it to you. "At least wear this to represent yourself, especially if you're assigned to the outer walls or the outer gates. Everyone must know you're cleared to be here and an actual standing guard, even if your armor is," and he looks at the spikes on your shoulders and stuff, "unusual. Tell me again, what is your profession?" A blacksmith. And you forge your own weapons. He like looks at your jet hammer. Seems rather dangerous, but You do seem like someone who is capable. Therefore, you're assigned to cleaning duties. And he takes out a form and he sets it in front of you. And he says, 5 in the morning, all the way till 3 in the afternoon. This is your assignments. And looking over... Yeah, he sees your face. He sees your face and he goes, every recruit has to start somewhere. This is your beginning. Doesn't matter if you've been in the military before or have some sort of experience. We need to see that you're willing to follow orders and do it in a manner that is cleanly to the standards of not just our team, but to the king himself. Washrooms, restrooms, bunks will be kept tidy. Don't think because you're separate from the rest of the soldiers you won't be investigated as well. Every morning when we arise at 5, we will come check your bunk and make sure everything is in acquaintance. Fold your clothes, do not make piles, and he kind of goes off on this list of requirements. Kind of standard issue being in the military type stuff. He kind of starts showing you the proper way to tie your shoes, how to maintain them. He gives you a couple of cleaning utensils and a brush and some shoe cleaner and stuff like that. Polish for your armor. He tells you that there's a routine of you work, you have your breaks in between, after which you have your recreational time. And he points out that a lot of the people like to kind of hang out in the front of the castle and play games. Others like to just do all their practices, their routines, and their march formations and such. Luckily, you're not worried about having to go through the basic training aspect of things. So don't worry. He puts a hand on your shoulder. We're not going to ask you to do any push-ups or anything. Unless you piss me off. As he kind of walks you back across the wall, he's pointing out all of the defenses, telling you about every one of the towers. The towers have heavy artillery type weaponry for air and ground. He tells you that they have hooks, or they have harpoons large enough to kill dragons in the case that they ever have a threat with dragons. And he goes on to say, "Palor forbid that we ever have to kill a dragon." It's not that it's hard. For a long time, dragons were a symbol of our people here. Not just the Bloodscreams believed in them, but it was good to see them soaring across the skies knowing that they were friendly and protectors to us. But after Bloodscream left, the outlaw happened, and now it's just us. Mankind. Hmm? No, his brother. The original. Define cool. He just kind of stares at you like you just said something very wrong. But he goes on to say, take care with what you say around here. Perhaps Godfrey is forgiving, but word travels fast, and if it reaches the wrong ears, even I won't be able to protect you. Whatever you have on your back there, I hope it's good enough to deal with whatever comes. Do you always resort to just hitting things immediately? Is this going to be a concern of mine that I have to be worried about you and other people? And when he says this, you see that there's a small group of Bloodscream soldiers, and they're pointing over at the tents and stuff, kind of laughing at the Stormbane soldiers as they pass by. I'm gonna give him a finger. He takes your hand and pushes it aside, looks at you real stern, and he's just like, "That's what I'm talking about. Control yourself." The blood screams are mostly little shits that don't even remember the last month's birthday.
Well, maybe we should teach them a lesson.
There'll be a time for that. In the square where we like to have our recreational time, and I'll admit, I enjoy watching you guys fight each other, and often makes me a little money.
So what happens if there's an accidental death?
I don't like accidents.
Well, what if I, accidentally crush his head in? By accident.
Like I said, I don't like accidents, and neither does Godfrey.
So you want it to be on purpose then? Ah, okay. I get it.
He like turns your attention back towards the spiral stairs, and he starts leading you off in that direction. He like tilts his head kind of like in respect to one of the generals there, and this like older looking man, dressed in his Stormbane armor, like he steps in front of you guys and he puts a hand up and looks right at you. He's like old and snarly, and he's got like this like a bump kind of growing on his nose. He's like, "New recruiters, then, huh? Don't know how I feel about him even walking the halls with us."
I just think to myself, man, I've seen more combat time than you have taught meals to a man.
He's got a mouth on him, eh? I'm surprised you haven't.
I said this in my head.
Oh,
I
okay,
didn't say
okay,
it to his mouth.
oh, okay, okay. Um, but Ronald like you know points at him and he just says, "This is General Roos. He's one of the veterans here in the wall. You do best to respect him. Respect and discipline are key in my regiment."
I just kind of say to myself, respect is earned, not given.
Even at this, Ronald kind of like laughs, and the general says, "I see we're going to have to do a little bit of breaking, huh? Tell you what,
I've tried.
there's the older restrooms on the northern side. They haven't been taken care of in a few days since we lost our one friend. Take care of that, will you, Hughes?" And Ronald Hughes just kind of like straightens up, salutes him, and he looks at you and just shakes his head and laughs. As they as you guys reach the spiral staircase and start to descend, he's like kind of looking over his shoulder at you, and he's just shaking his head like, "I'm trying to be kind to you and keep things the way they are. We're still treating you as if you are a recruit. You still have to abide and respect your elders, and your leadership especially."
What's funny is that I'm older than him, so I don't know what you mean by elders.
Ranking then. You're not a general. If anything, you're a private at best. And as you guys
Private, but I got more experience on the battlefield than the majority of this army.
prove yourself along the coming days, not just in cleaning shit for toilets, you'll move up quickly if you can show that you can take orders. Trust me. I'll make sure of it. And soon enough you'll be at my side at the front gates, and he stops short as you guys are passing those guards from before, and they seem to kind of like be flirting with a pair of like civilian girls. And he like looks them over. Huh? No, these are Stormbane. No, these are Stormbane soldiers. Like they're just flirting with commoners, it seems. And he stops and looks at them, and he's just like, "What have we said about bringing people from outside of the castle?" And like they like stiffen up and look at him, and they're just like, they were just passing through, sir. They just say hello." "Fuck off." The girls like immediately like kind of like skirt past and run, and one of them like looks at you, Hugh, and like giggles and just kind of like takes off. He looks at his soldiers and he says, "The next time, You'll be cleaning the toilets with him, and demoted. And they just like, yes sir, yes sir. But he leads you out of the castle onto the grounds. The sun kind of like beaming down on you guys. Uh, yeah, he points out the like throughout the garden area. You don't have to do anything here specifically. Just keep an eye out for people who may not be allowed to be on the grounds. So if they don't have the sigil or they're not dressed like they came from the old world, they probably don't belong here, and you should check in to see who they are. Then there's the groundskeepers, and they're pretty standard with their fit, with the Stormbane colors. And then there's the outhouses, and he like shows you like these like essentially it's like just half of a wall, or like one wall with a roof coming off of it, and individual like places for you to have privacy. There's like a cover that kind of like swings back off of it, and he goes up and like swings it open, and immediately you see that this place is may not have gotten any cleanup in a minute. And this is where you'll start, my friend. Down the line, spotless clean. I'll come out and check it in the next 2 hours. You have about half of a day's work left, so you'll get a good routine going and figuring things out, and then we'll go from there.
So what do I need to come here then?
Huh?
Because should this be housekeeping's job?
We reserve this for disciplinary actions. As you can see, he like moves down the line, and like he opens up a curtain, and you see that there's like this young recruit in there, like a young guy with like blonde hair. It's like split down the middle and then shaved on the sides, so it's like a bowl cut essentially. And you notice that he has these elven ears, and he's looking up at you. He's got a bunch of like little spots on his nose. Let's see. This here's Kenneth, new recruit. He like stands up, fumbles with his rag, knocks over his bucket of like dirty water, stands at attention. At ease. Let me take a look. And he goes in and starts looking it over, and Kenneth kind of like gets pushed off to the side, and he's looking at you. Hi, I'm Kenneth. And he like moves a hand to shake yours.
As I reach over, kind of judging him up and down.
Wow, you're really strong. Does it look good, Mr. Hughes?
We both answered yes.
Yeah, Ronald looks at you, takes a deep breath. Looks good so far. Make sure you show him the ropes, how to maintain everything in the way that we seek, and then perhaps just take him to the next zone. Yes, sir, Mr. Hughes. All right. And with that, Ronald looks at you, and he just says, he's kind of a nervous guy. Be easy. I'll be back soon, so take care of yourselves. And he like moves off, and you see him like kind of like looking off toward the sky and go off toward the castle. Kenneth grabs his bucket. Oh man, I spilled it. Gotta go get some more. He like carries the bucket. Come on, grab a bucket. And you see that there's like some like equipment like off to the side of the stalls.
I'll grab the equipment.
So yeah, following him over, he shows you that there's a water spigot. He starts to kind of like pump some water out and fill his bucket. Takes yours. So, how'd you end up in the castle?
That's a story my lawyers should tell me not to tell.
Oh, okay. So this is like corporal punishment for you or something.
I guess.
He like kind of walks with you back to the stalls. I've been here for almost 3 months. I'm about to graduate. At least they say I am. Sets the bucket down, pulls the sheet back. This is a nasty one. You're gonna have to help me with this one, all right? Takes his sponge, starts cleaning. Go ahead and make a perception check. So yeah, with the 19, you're kind of watching him. He's rambling on, nervous kind of guy, right? You're kind of looking around, and you notice that there's the guards outside of the fence. One of them seems to kind of be like chuckling in your direction, and then you see like there's the gardeners or the groundskeepers kind of walking around doing their thing with the garden. But just beyond that, where the initiative doors are, there's like that balcony that looks over the garden. You notice that Jada's there with that black-haired woman, the one with the Aussie accent.
I'm giving death eyes.
Yeah, they're watching you, and they seem to kind of be in discussion with each other. And are you kind of like just watching them at the moment, or?
I'm kind of, yeah, I'd say watching, but like with an intimidating look, kind of like pissed off, like I'm coming for you kind of look.
So yeah, like why are you doing that? You hear Kenneth in the back. All right, and that's pretty much it. Were you paying attention?
Oh, you're finished.
No, no, no.
Uh,
Oh, and then he realizes that he did all the work for you. Oh,
yeah, I think I got the gist of it.
but you weren't paying attention. So come to the next one. And like he opens that stall and he starts showing you how to clean that one. All right, this one's even worse. You really got to get in there, okay?
This is exactly how custodian training goes.
As like are there assisting with the role you got, you peer back and you see that Jada has like gone away, and she's been replaced by I gotta get her name because I'm a little dumb. Ella is there, and she is like kind of has her head bowed, and the woman with the black hair like seems to kind of be speaking to her condescendingly. And you notice that there is a pair of other girls that show up, and they're kind of giggling amongst themselves, and they like take the girl, they look at the woman, and they kind of walk off with Ella.
I'd like to,
You really got it. You really got to get in there, okay? You just really scrounge it around. And then what are you do? And then what are you doing?
I'm memorizing the two girls' faces that were offered Ella.
Okay. Yeah.
Memorizing them, and I think what they look like in case anything happens, so I know those are the two I need to go for first.
Yeah. One of them is a blonde. Her features, like the facial features, you can't really tell. So it's like kind of like at that distance, you know.
Yeah.
You know that there's a blonde woman, and you know there's a brunette woman. They seem to be younger than the woman with black hair. She turns to like look back at you, and you can tell she's like glaring at you as well. All right, now.
Oh, am I gonna fuck up this capital? Oh boy.
All right, now you got to get in there too, okay? I can't just do all the work. And it's up to you if you want to make like a persuasion check.
Yeah, sure. Let's make 16.
All right, what are you telling him as he holds the sponge out to you?
Can you show me just one more time, just so I can
Just,
see it? I'm a
ju-
visual learner over
just one more time.
computer.
Just one more time.
Just one more time.
All right, just make sure you take the bottle of this stuff and just really spray it on there. Don't be generous, okay? Like nice and thick, and then you want to reach your hand in there and really, really scrub. If there's any resistance, you might have to get the chipper. You got like this little spatula thing here, and like he's kind of going on. What are you doing?
I'm still not paying attention.
uh,
Definitely looking up towards where the black-haired lady is.
yeah, the black-haired lady has left, and in its place you can kind of see some guards walking by behind where she was standing, but they're out of sight now as well. And he's continuing to ramble on about, cleaning a shitter.
Okay. So I'm gonna proceed to ask, or not even ask, I'm just gonna tell Fox to feed, to let it feed on the shit and the grime of these stalls. Cause I don't know, I haven't said, I don't know how he's surviving off of me. He's like nutrients.
It's microtransactions.
He's paying me to eat me.
Yeah,
How long have you been living? I keep going up.
um, but it,
How's all the gold coming from?
yeah, so like you're taking Kenneth's place, you get in there, right? And like commanding Boxy, you can feel your arm like moving and shifting, and then the hand like the mouth appears on your hand, and just the tongue starts lathering around the toilet bowl. So yeah, while you're doing this, you can hear Kenneth behind you. All right, that's a really good job. I don't know what you're doing, but that's a good technique. It's coming out real clean. Where's this? Hey, what is that? And uh, you notice that like there's a mist or like a smoke kind of encompassing encompassing the garden. Even the gardeners like look up at it and they're just kind of like and they start talking to each other in another language. And they all start laughing. and Kenneth is just like, their laughter is actually becoming contagious. And go ahead and make a Constitution save. With a 24, you can feel the effects of this smoke kind of like creeping in on you. The lighting kind of becomes a little bit brighter, and you can kind of feel like you can feel the air, the world around you. But you don't fall into the giggle fits that the others seem to be falling into. Kid is kind of like kneeling over. I can't stop laughing. It's so contagious. The way that guy laughs, and then the other guy's like, and they're just kind of like having a good time in the garden.
Alright, so that's so I'm gonna pull out my hammer just in case.
Yeah,
Actually, I'm gonna pull out my shotgun.
like you pull out, you go ahead.
Load shell and malicious intent just in case.
Yeah, you do that click, click, and like that, like Kenneth's just watching you. I like it's the way you did it. It was just a.
One more time. Okay.
He just laughs even harder at you, and
Shire,
you start to realize that
tomato.
like the laughter coming from them, and then you start to hear behind you. It's almost like the entire city is having the giggle fits right now.
Aw, shit. Here we go again.
This is the Joker.
Um,
Well, what's going on?
yeah, like you're like looking around. You look between the bars of the surrounding castle's gates, right? And you see like there's some kids like eating candy. Does this just taste way better than usual? It's so good. Like they just run off.
Hey, I can't contact anybody. Fuck. Alright, I'm gonna go offer tell Kenneth to bring back whatever part he wants.
All right, man. All right, I'm just gonna clean these toilets. And he just like dips in there.
I'm also gonna drink a vial of whiskey, which I'm pretty sure cures of any effects.
What is it?
Like the vial of whiskey, the stuff that we got like when we first met Zoe. Me and Sam first met Zoe at the Tavern or the medical place in Mexico. I also
The thing that
so
she gave you guys?
yeah, they're like completely like it makes you feel better. It's healing magical effects, but it heals my ability to
Would you guys say this is a magical effect? It definitely smells herbal.
I'm gonna drink one of these guys anyway, just to see what it does.
It's like kava. You're just kind of balancing it out.
Yeah, whoever has asthma.
Wait a second. Are you high? Is it because it's 4:20?
Yeah, not in about 40 minutes. um, but yeah, like as you kind of go around the castle, you notice there's definitely a lot of guards who've kind of fallen into this. They're joking around with each other. Stormbanes are kind of getting along with blood screams as well. And you do like because you kind of get to the front of the castle, you see that Ronald is there, like having a good laugh with one of his other commanders, and like he looks at you. Who even needs to clean the toilets, right?
I just walk up to him, grab him by his armor, and smack him in the chest. Not successful.
When you do this, he kind of like just looks at you. You just hit a commanding officer, and the other guy's like, "No, they're gonna have to arrest you again." No, Ronald's like, no. Let's just look at the sky together. And he puts his arm around your shoulder and just stares at clouds.
I'm gonna just walk into the castle. I'm gonna walk back into the castle and try and find out what I guess the main quarters, or like common quarters.
Okay. You head back in and you begin to kind of explore the castle. From there, we're gonna cut back over to LeFay. LeFay, standing before you is a version of yourself. Dark and sinister, she stares you down.
They just start making out.
What'd you say?
What's the meaning of all this? She says, what's the meaning of all this? Are you the one that's that like, are you the one that made all this?
Made you. You started down the path of hate and, whether you like to admit it or not, a lust for blood. In one timeline, you all spared Dorian Gray and it infuriated you to let him get away. But in this other timeline, you hated yourself for what you did to him. Do you recall that day?
I had to do it.
And are you telling me you wouldn't do it again? You're cutting out. You cut out really bad.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
She says, I don't want to kill my friends. You're innocent. I'd rather kill my
You still don't understand. It doesn't matter if you kill in the name of righteousness. You'll never be a hero. You're a killer, stained with the blood of anyone that you've run your blade through. Each time you and your friends kill something or kill someone, more of me come into existence. You,
So you'd rather just spare their lives? Kill innocent people, children?
oh, we revel in the lives you bring to us. It makes us stronger. You of all, and as a collective, have killed enough people to give us a small army. I simply found a way to take your place. All of this.
Why?
Hmm? Go ahead.
He says, why this thirst for power? Why everyone fears you? Fear of me?
The you that you are now won't matter. I will become your face. I will become part of your family. And when Arzon comes to your world, I will have earned a right to stand by his side. And she draws her blade. You'll have only a chance, LeFay. As all of them did too. And she looks around at the bodies within the room, and then looks right back at you. Huh?
He says, who were these people? Just other innocents? Other innocent lives?
Others willing to give their blood and sacrifices in my name, to have me rise in their place as their leader. They were all too weak. They summoned me some time after I split from you. They too will serve purpose in the new world. She looks at you. You've come here to die, LeFay. There's no other way. Seeing that you're just staring, you notice that she fades into a black dust. Her mocking laugh echoing in the room. Make a perception check. Also, real quick, that's good. Your HP is sitting at 51.
Yeah, because I got, assassins.
From from 107, you went to 51. Oh damn. Okay.
Because I got hit twice from that, one elf assassin that, like, every time they would hit,
Okay.
Faye, she would have, like, this massive.
Yeah, no, I wanted to make sure that you didn't have didn't leave your health, damaged and then got hit again. But okay. Um, you do spot as she rematerializes behind a pillar, and then she ducks out to attack you. And coming at you with a 16 to hit.
Doesn't get me.
All right, and then we'll go ahead and take your turn.
I'm gonna take, skill piercer. I don't think a 16 hits.
You're attacking while she's right in front of you with a scale piercer. You would be attacking with disadvantage. Unless you disengage and back up a little bit and then attack.
Yeah, sorry. I apologize.
No, you're good, you're good.
She
Okay, and then
backs away
how many feet?
but it was
16.
uh,
Okay. So you're like halfway up the set of like stairs and seating where like that circular room. Okay. She sees you. You shoot, and she says, "At least you learned to give a distance for your long range." And she like runs off towards like one of the pillars, vanishes, and seemingly leaps as she does this. Go ahead and make a perception check.
31.
31. Yeah, with a 31, you see her as she leaps out and reappears, like swinging off the pillar and like trying to bring the sword down on you. So with that attack, 28 to hit.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be 10 points of slashing damage. Oh, piercing damage. And then 6 points of fire damage as you see a spark of green flame come off of the blade as she strikes into your armor. And then it's your turn. And remember, she's closed the distance. She's like right up next to you right now, unless you disengaged again and move back.
She disengages, 15 feet and misses, I guess. It's a 16.
Yeah, it's gonna go ahead and miss again. She's gonna repeat her turn again. Go ahead and roll a perception check. This time you lose track of her, and you think she's gonna come around the other side of the pillar. Instead, she like reverts back around, leaps at you, spins, and comes at you with another attack. With this one, it's gonna be an 18, and I assume that misses.
That misses.
Okay, and then it's on you.
She's gonna.
Okay, taking another shot.
Oh, I got this 14.
That's gonna miss as well. Seeing you back away again. Huh? Go ahead. Oh, okay. Seeing you back away again, she gonna keep doing the same thing over and over. How about I take a shot? And you see her vanish again. Make a perception check.
17.
Jesus. Oh damn, you got lucky. 16. She misses as she reappears, and she's now like switched from the blade to her own bow, which instead of glowing with the style that yours has, it's just this black obsidian color. And when she pulls the string, a black voided arrow appears. She shoots it, and it just whizzes right past your head, and then it's back on you.
She's gonna back away at 28.
You're probably up against the wall at this point, so you're running out of space.
I'm gonna move to the side then.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
To the side.
If you're moving along the wall, to the left of you is where that door is.
Okay.
But what do you do?
She hit her with a 28 first.
You shot first?
Yeah. Hit.
So as a reaction, you see that their belt glows, and they reappear 5 feet in front of you, blocking the door. And she says, "How many more times can you do that trick?" And then you have your bonus action.
He's gonna.
So disengaging again. Okay. And then you probably have like another 15 feet to move around. Okay. From here, she sees you back away, and she says, "Come on, LaFay. I thought you were the best rogue ever. Or are you just gonna keep running away like the coward you are?" And she like leaps forward at you, not even bothering to hide this time. And as she does, she like pulls the drawstring and shoots at you. Whew. 19. Alright, she lands in front of you, and as the two of you kind of continue with your back and forth, we cut back over to Zoe. Zoe, you with me? I do think I'm gonna aim to like maybe end the session here, or at least aiming to kind of like move in that direction. It's kind of getting close to 12, and I know some of us go to bed around this time. Um, Zoe, you and the group are in this basically like what looks like this large chasm, and there's a bridge stretching going across. It seems very old, rickety, unstable. You can hear that there's like commotion behind you, and looking back, you see that Emmanuel and Revis are currently engaged with the with like what looks like a pair of werewolves, scratching and clawing and combating them down the hall. Marcus is like kind of like making his way across the bridge, like testing the steps, with Whisk up ahead, double checking them. Phone book is standing next to you just before the bridge, looking between the two soldiers and then back at the people on the bridge. What do you do? No. The two people on the bridge are the cleric Marcus and then the rogue Whisk. Whisk kind of being ahead, like testing the bridge and making sure it's stable enough. You do see it kind of like wobbles a little bit as they cross. Yeah, and they're down the hall behind you, maybe about, a little over 20 feet. You see that they have taken a couple of hits. Revis in particular has blood like going down the side of his neck from a scar that he was inflicted. Emmanuel has a gash on the front of his armor, like they had like clawed and like really scraped down the front of it. Um, Whisk is in worse condition. Their back is like bleeding, and you can see that they like got scratched along the back. The cleric had worked their best to try to like heal them, and even you have been like strained down on your resources and your capabilities. The dungeons rooms that have come before really testing the limits. Um, as the Whisk and the cleric reach the other side, they call to Phonebook. All right, come on now, let's go. And Phonebook starts to kind of like make his way across. The others, Emmanuel and Revis, are down the passage. We might have a moment. I have a chance here. And like kills one of the wolves, and they manage to like push the other one, and they start to kind of run in your direction.
Your boss is actually like push you in, so
Yeah.
Oh, where would it have wall of fire behind us?
What level is Wall of Fire? Look it up real quick. I have your sheet. Wall of
What's the
Fire.
fourth level?
the fourth level slot.
Okay, so you got one slot, one fourth level slot left here. So you are able to go ahead and cast it.
Okay.
So you cast this behind the two soldiers, right?
Yeah.
The flame erupts. The creature on the other side like begins to scream and howl, like trying to find a way around. But you've completely encompassed this part of the tunnel. They grab you as they like start to like cross the bridge. The cleric kind of like careful, and like they start to like make their way across. Go ahead and make a dexterity save as the bridge suddenly snaps and starts to fall. What is it?
16.
All right, so with a 16, all of you, feeling the bridge like go down, immediately drop and grab a hold of the bridge, and it falls and slams against the wall. Revis and Emmanuel kind of like holding on and like gripping you as well. They like hoist you up and let you kind of climb, and they follow after. You hear phone book like near the entrance of the other side of this bridge. You're like, we're close. We're really close. Phone book. And like he's like spazzing. Whisk is like trying to calm him down, and Marcus is like helping you guys up. And he says, "That was a close one, my friends. You all right? Might need to take a potion or two." Responds Emmanuel and Revis. Um, you again like phone book is like spazzing out, and Whisk is like trying to like keep them calm.
She's gonna walk up towards Phonebook and like rest her hand on his shoulder. It's okay. We're gonna be fine.
I had another vision.
What did you see?
It's it's Vecna. He's gonna he's gonna kill us. And Marcus like puts a hand on his shoulder, and he's just like, "Not so long as Palo's might is by her side. Let's go." And like he pushes on, Emmanuel like, starts to kind of follow after, looking, at you, and kind of like in this like thankful way, emanating that, like it's good that you're, doing what you're doing, And as they like kind of start the passage, Whisk looks at Phone Book and says, "Hey, look at me. We're all gonna be okay." And while she's reassuring Phone Book, what are you doing?
She's gonna make sure everyone's okay right now.
Yeah, Phone Book is like looking right at you, and then he looks right at Whisk. "No, it's not." And go ahead and make a perception check. So, let's see. 29 to your AC.
That it?
25 points of slashing damage as a flamed werewolf leaps across, lands, and slashes at your back. The prepared rogue, seeing this, turns and immediately stabs the creature in the chest. Phone Book drops his book, startled and afraid, staring at Whisk as she does this, and the creature howling begins to fall back. After it had struck you, you are now prone to this attack. And as the creature begins to fall back, Whisk looks right at Phone Book, and then suddenly gets pulled in after the werewolf. The others begin to shout and scream as they run back down the passage. Phone Book kind of slumping back against the wall. "It wasn't okay. Phone Book. Phone Book. Phone Book. Phone Book!" And he starts to freak out. And Emmanuel and Rebus are like looking over the side of this cliff, and they immediately react. "No!" Needless to say, Whisk has fallen, and there's a cold air that rushes over all of you. You see Phone Book like grab at his head and turn to look in that direction. This haunting passage, this cool feeling that's washing over you. You hear the voices in your head. "One down. You are so close. Come now." And as the group is trying to recollect themselves as to what just happened, you start to feel this burn within your chest. This desire, this rage, this fury starting to take over you. And the cleric says, You have to stay calm." And at this point, you feel yourself moving down the passage. And the companions shout your name, and it's the first time you hear the name of the person you're emulating. and they start to shout, Aurelia, don't lose yourself now. We're so close. Aurelia! And from your perspective, you just continue on, ignoring the rest of the group. Turning down the left corner, you can see down this passage there's an open room with a throne sitting at the end. Vecna, his eyes staring back at you. You can feel his power. You can feel the hate boiling within you. And you can feel the fire, the power that you did when you had gone to the north with your allies. When Xenagos had tried to claim the flame for himself. And as you continue down the passage, getting closer and closer, the rest of your companions run up behind you, stopping you and looking at you, and you can see the stress and the pain and the tears being held back, and Emmanuel, as tough as he's been, finally you see a tear drop down his face. And he says, we do this together, right? And he looks forward and he starts to march, his brother joining him, followed by Marcus. Phone book's like hanging back. What do you do? Yeah, I mean, like, you can interact with phone book, or you can just follow after the group. Or you can just stand there and rage, I guess. It's just, he's like looking at you, and suddenly you see this calm like wash over him. Really? What's happening? And you realize that your hands are starting to glow. Almost like the white from a flame building around you. That fury from within. You can hear Eris' voice in the back of your mind. Do you feel that? I can feel the spirit, the other spirit. It's here with us. We can't be afraid. They weren't afraid. Feeling this, hearing this. The fire kind of building around your body. Phone book looking astonished. Even the group stops to look back at you. Phone book pulling this large book against his chest, looks back toward Vecna. There is only one way. And if this is what we have to do, I trust you. I trust all of you. And the group kind of like putting their hands in together. They leave you the last spot. Looking to you. And Revis just like, just don't burn my hand off, alright?
Sorry about that. And she's gonna walk up right beside them and she'll smile. Nothing says the
And then you feel like the hand, your right hand, the one with the sigil, the fire dissipates for a moment, allowing you to place your hand on your friends. It's cool to the touch for them, and they look at each other reassuringly, tears in their eyes and blood covered and beaten. The sigil of the phoenix reassuring all of you as you turn and you look towards Vecna. And the group begins to go ahead to face their final challenge. And from there, we end tonight's session.